Hey guys, this is Missmonkey88 here, and I'm here with my mom. Say hi, Mom.
Hello all.
As I told you guys before, I have convinced my mother to recount an experience she had in her youth. She's been a little reluctant because it was a little overwhelming and scary, but, you know, I'm with my mama. Okay, Mom, let's start from the beginning with servant houses.
Okay. First you gotta put into your mind the long road. The long, dark, kind of spooky looking road. The
Dirt
trees
road?
Yes, it was a dirt road. The trees kinda hung over it, and it was like arms reaching out at you.
Maybe we should backtrack a little bit to your friend.
Yeah.
We'll call her
Anna.
Yeah, we'll call her Anna.
Yeah, Anna and I were best friends for years, and after several misadventures together, just before we would start high school, we went up to her family's cottage in Hesperia,
Yeah.
and we were spending a week there. She knew some of the kids that lived across the lake, and we hung out with them. Had a little bit of a scare with them as well beforehand, before the haunted house. We were out on the lake,
Yeah.
and we were on one of these little platforms on the lake, and one of the kids was teasing me, telling me about this thing that he had heard about had happened, an adventurous shipwreck. Some people, I guess, were sick, and they were coming, to that area before it was named Hesperia, and their ship, everyone on board was getting sick and dying, and so this guy dove off the ship to try and get to land faster to get help, and because it was during a storm, he drowned. And I didn't believe him. I thought he was just, giving me a whole bunch of hoopla, but lo and behold, we decided to go back to the dock, so we dove off the platform, and he's like standing on the dock looking at me all scared and creeped out, and I'm like, what the hell's wrong? I couldn't hear him from there. And he says, just get up here quickly, swim to the dock. I'm like, okay. So I went to go swimming to the dock, and all of a sudden I felt something grab my leg and start to pull me under. And I literally had to kick and fight to get back up into the, top of the water to get to the dock. And I'm thinking, holy crap, what the hell was that? And it didn't feel like a branch or seaweed or a fish or something like that. It felt like someone's hand. Fingers, yes. And when I got up to the dock, I looked at my leg, and you could see where there was like scratch marks and impressions from someone's hand on my leg, and my leg was bleeding. So I was like, I just want to go home. I just want to go back to my friend's cottage. I don't want to be here anymore. So we got back in the rowboat and went back to her cottage and got my leg bandaged up. And the next night, the kids that my friend Anna knew called and wanted to know if we wanted to hang out. So they came over across the lake, and Anna had told me about this haunted house, and her mom and dad were still there, and they were talking to us and telling us all these different stories about the house. And we're like, well, we kind of want to discover this on our own, see if it really is that way, but they were warning us not to go there because it was so old. It was probably getting decrepit. So we're like, okay, let's check this out anyways, So we waited for them to leave.
Typical 16-year-olds.
Yeah, 15 and 16-year-olds, yeah. We waited for them to leave to go to work, and we decided to venture out. Grabbed a bunch of flashlights, some matches, stuff that, just in case we got caught someplace we needed them. And as you go down this road, and it starts to get a little bit darker because the trees are so thick, you're looking up at them and you're just like, holy crap, those are scary. Those are really scary, creepy looking trees. You could just imagine them reaching down and grabbing you, you know. And we were kind of teasing each
Like
other.
the trees from Snow White.
Yeah, we were teasing each other about it and laughing, you know. And then on the left-hand side, quite a ways down, it took us probably 20 minutes or more to get to it. There's all these like little cottages, and they were really small. They were only like one room on the main floor, like a small sitting area and a kitchen, and then you went upstairs, up the small cramped staircase, and there was one room up there. And we're like, wow, okay, so, you know, we start looking around, and there's 5 of these little cottages. The first one really didn't have much in it. Had some kind of disgusting animal carcasses, like they died in there or something, you know. But there was one in particular that we went in, and it had dishes in it, like someone had just left the place. But you could tell that they hadn't. It was all, you know,
Really old antique.
really very much so antique, and the bones were like degrading, you know, that were on the plate. And it could have even been an animal that got in there. You know, we didn't know. But we went upstairs, and there was this very old looking container. It was like, it looked like
A trunk or a chest?
a trunk. It looked like a treasure chest trunk.
That wasn't uncommon in that era.
No, it was actually very common. But you could tell it was old. You know, it was like getting all rusty and nasty looking. But inside it were love letters. And we were like, wow. You know, you could tell the penmanship was really
Masculine.
very, very much so.
Oh, no.
No, it was feminine.
Yeah,
that one
I'm
was
sorry,
feminine.
I'm getting...
No, I'm talking the whole...
I have heard this story before, so I'm getting flipped around. Anyway.
The whole trunk was very masculine, okay? But when we opened it and found the letters, we were like, oh, what's this? You know, I started reading some of them. They were definitely love letters. They were, steamy love letters. And we're thinking, wow, from that era, they had some steamy stuff, man. You can make books out of these. And so then we, you know, after looking at the other cottages and not, you know, thinking there was too much to them, we found an outhouse, which was like caving in. We tried to get the guys to go in it, but they were like, no, scared. Chicken shits. So then we walked up to the mansion, which took us about 10 minutes or so to get up to. And we tried opening the door, but you couldn't get it up. We couldn't get it open. And one of the guys he was a little bigger guy. He's like trying to yank it and shake it, and it's shaking. And we couldn't get it open, so we're like, well, we're not going to break a window to get in, you know. But then a few seconds later, you could hear this creaking sound, and the door opened. Just a little bit. I mean, it barely opened, but you could see that it had opened. And we're like, creepy, you know. And one of the guys that had, you know, tried to get the door open goes, oh, I loosened it. It's open now. So we went in, and we were like, wow, look at this place. It had all this antique furniture in it that was covered with sheets and stuff. And we're like, wow.
Probably linen.
Yeah. They weren't like regular sheets like we would have nowadays.
They used linen back in that time.
And we're like, wow, this is gorgeous, you know. And we knew we were going to be there late, so we told the guys, you know, Anna and I told the guys, go open up the flute on the fireplace, because if we end up having to stay here a while, you know, and it's getting cold. And so they were, you know, dinking around with that, and they finally got it open, and kind of had a little puff of ashes, and the guys stood up and they were just covered in ashes, and of course that gave us a great laugh. But then we all decided to venture upstairs. Now you have to imagine the staircase. It was huge and it was gorgeous. It had all this beautiful red and greens and yellows and golds in the carpet as you went up. And they were faded, of course, but you could still see the colors. And we got up to the top and we started looking in some of the rooms, and they weren't all that impressive until you got to this one room. It literally looked like someone had just left the place. the bed was still made. There was a suit hanging over the side of the bed. There was a old-fashioned dressmaking mannequin on the corner with a wedding dress on it, and that was covered. We took the sheet linen, whatever, off it because you could see the bottom of it. So we wanted to see what it looked like or what it was, and you could see this dress. Well, in the closet there was all these really old-fashioned clothes and stuff too. I'm talking like late 1800s. And we started thinking, well, God, this is kind of creepy. Is someone, living here? Is some hobo or something living here? And because we started hearing noises. We started hearing this whimpering sound like a woman crying. And we thought, what is that? We're all hearing this. It isn't just one of us. Because I looked at my friend and I said, Anna, stop doing that. You're scaring me. She said, it's not me. It's you. It's got to be you. And I'm like, no, it's not. And the guys are like, well, it isn't us. Our voices are too deep. Okay, well, someone's whimpering. And we decided, well, okay. And we find in the closet this beautiful box. And it's starting to corrode and get, nasty looking. But it was under some cloths. And inside the box were more love letters. But they were from a man. And we were like, whoa, okay, let's put the two and two together here. This woman was having an affair with one of the servants. Must have been, because those little houses had to have been the servants' houses. So we're like, ooh, okay. Then we started piecing some things together by what my friend Anna's parents had told us. There was an old folklore going around the town that the man had killed his wife and nobody ever found her body until many, many, many years later. But he had killed the coach driver because he was the one having the affair with her. And so we're like, this is starting to, the pieces are starting to connect. Well, as we're descending down the stairs and deciding to go back into the living room area, we hear this awful scream. And I'm like, you guys, that's not funny. Because I almost fell down the stairs because it startled me so bad. And then as we're almost to the bottom step, we hear this thump, 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 thump. And we're like, none of us fell. What the hell was that? And we're hearing the whimpering again. And the guys are like, oh, it's got to be this old house just creaking and stuff. Let's not make any more out of it than we need to. So the guys started a fire because it started downpouring outside. So we knew we weren't going to be able to go anywhere for quite a while. And then as we're sitting there, we hear this scrape, slap, scrape, slap. And I'm like, what the hell is that noise? And my girlfriend Anna says, oh, that sounds like masonry work. And I went, what? She goes, like construction work. They would take bricks and then put the cement through each layer and, and she's explaining it to me and showing me how they slap the cement through each brick and, they'd have to tap it down. And I'm like, you guys, that noise isn't stopping. It's continuing. And we started freaking out. And then you could hear somebody going up and down the steps. And then you could hear something like another thump, thump, thump. But it wasn't as loud. It was like it was going down into the cellar. And like, that is the weirdest noise. And then we started getting creeped out because that scraping and slapping noise wasn't stopping. We're like, we got to get out of here. This is just getting to be too much. And the rain started letting up. And we couldn't get the door open again. It would not move. No matter how much the guys tried, the door would not move. So Anna and I were sitting there crying because we wanted to get out. We couldn't get the windows open either. And we're standing there next to the door going, please let us out, please let us out, please. We'll never come back here again. Please let us out. And we're terrified. And the guys are standing over there trying to look at us like we're crazy, but then you could see the fear in their eyes. They knew something wasn't right. And finally, after a little bit, we got the door to open, but none of us were standing next to it. We were all huddled together in the living room in front of the fireplace. And I said, you guys, douse that fire now. We're getting out of here. I don't know how, if we have to break a window or something, we're getting out. And one of the guys is like, fine, we'll break a window. And I'm like, yeah, watch some silent alarm go off and we're going to get caught. I'm going to jail tonight. And finally, I hear this creak. And you can hear the door handle move. And I'm like, go check the door. Please, we got to get the hell out of here. Door opened. And we ran the hell out of there and ran almost all the way back to the cottage because we were so scared. Come to find out, we started talking to some other people about it, you know, people in the town and stuff, and found out that he had gone, the husband had gone down to the servants' quarters and shot his carriage driver because he was having an affair with the guy's wife. And then went back up to the mansion and confronted his wife. He hit her in the head as she was standing at the top of the stairs, and she fell down the stairs and cracked her head more. And there was blood all over the carpet. And so after she had started to come, you know, unconscious or reconscious again, people found that they couldn't find her. She was nowhere around. He kept saying that she took off with somebody. And they're like, well, who would she have left with? You know? And nobody could find anything to prove that she had left or where she would have gone or how she would have gone because the carriage was still there. So years later, they found out when a family decided to buy the mansion. They were hearing stuff, you know, little strange noises and stuff. So when the workers went down to the cellar, they were going to redo some of the bricking. And they were going to knock out a couple different walls because the walls didn't look like they were original, so they wanted to get back to the original bricking. And they found her skeleton in the wall. He had buried her alive inside the wall. And then he had killed himself there. So they assumed that the blood that was at the bottom of the staircase was his. Because back then they didn't have all that special forensics and stuff. Yeah. Right. So they assumed that all that blood was his. He shot himself. So, not knowing where she was, thinking he killed himself, they assumed that she left because he was unfaithful to her. But it was really her that was unfaithful to him. But from that point on, we never went back to that house again, ever. It was just, it creeped us out so bad. We had to sit there and beg them to let us out. I mean, you had to have been there to know that something was holding that door shut. Because one of the guys that was with us was a pretty burly dude, you know. He should have been able to get that door open, but he couldn't get it open. You know, so you go into all the events that had happened, you know, finding the love letters, the dress, the love letters that were in the little house, you know, the cottages, the blood stain that was in the foyer, on the floor. I mean, that was still there. After all those years, you could see the stain there. I mean, it wasn't like really prominent, but you could see it. The crying, the whimpering, the scraping, the masonry work being done. We heard a shot. At least we thought maybe it was a shot, because none of us had really heard a gunshot before. But that's what it sounded like. I mean, we kind of compared it to maybe the backfire of a Model T car. You know, it wasn't anything new. It sounded like it echoed. Like it wasn't really here, but it was here. You understand what I mean by that? It was
I do.
residual. But, yeah. So that was the end of it. I never went back there again. And I will never forget it. Because having all that happen to me, I was afraid to tell anybody. Because I honestly didn't think anybody would believe us.
Yeah.
But it happened. You know, and as far as I can even possibly imagine, that house has probably either been torn down, maybe even somebody remodeled it. I don't know. But I do know that the people that originally was going to remodel it never went back to the house again.
I can imagine after finding the skeletal remains, they were kind of hesitant to live there.
Yeah. Well, I know that there was talk in the town that they were digging up the property and, you know, the forensics people, the police and all that, to check to see if there was any other bodies. You know, they had dogs out there and everything.
They never found the coachman?
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
I wonder what he did with them.
Nobody knows. I mean, they probably could have possibly found him because there was speculation that that he put him in the well. There's 2 wells on the property. There was one in their basement, their cellar, and there was one outside. And the one in the cellar had been cemented in. So they assumed that he just stopped using that one, or the water became foul, and so he stopped using it. And so nobody would, you know.
You probably could have hit him down there.
Very well could have. And they could have found his body in there, but no, the only skeletal remains that was ever talked about was hers.
Probably because they never found him.
I don't think they did. I mean, it was never talked about.
No.
But it was speculated all through the town that place, that land was tainted, that nobody would ever want to do anything with it.
Yeah.
That's the end of my story.
Alright, you guys, I hope you enjoyed that. And, you know, as I said, it's okay to be skeptical, but please refrain from putting rude comments or flames in my channel. I don't play that game. But anyway, join us for the next video, okay? Bye-bye. Happy Halloween. Want to say Happy Halloween?
Happy Halloween!